Fortnite Battle Royale is constantly changing, not even with a new season, but every other week there's an update that changes a thing or removes another. You won't believe why things like police cars got permanently removed, or even stuff like the golden mushroom or the Midas flopper. So let's roll it back and start where the first thing ever got removed in 2017. With Season 1 of Fortnite, we had so many awesome items that just aren't in the game anymore. Believe it or not, we actually had an item called directional jump pads. These things were awesome and were pretty much just an orange version of bouncers, except you could only get launched in one direction. But after launch pads were added, the directional jump pad was considered pretty much useless, and Epic quietly removed it from Fortnite to never be seen again. Season 1 also gave us the most overpowered weapon in the history of Fortnite, and that's if you don't count the Infinity Blade. Of course, I'm talking about the Zapatron, which, everyone knows about this thing. Now, of course, this was only in the game for a couple hours before they got rid of it. It was so rare that there's less than a dozen real clips of gameplay on YouTube. And while everyone knows about that, we move into Fortnite Season 2, where Epic secretly removed items that almost no one noticed. And one of these was the secret third default dance. And I know when you think of the default dance, your brain probably just instantly goes to this, but there was actually a third version of this dance that was secretly removed in Season 2. Honestly, it's just a hit of nostalgia hearing this one. I completely forgot this existed, but once you hear it, all comes flooding back. It didn't last long at all, so I hope it comes back sometime. Maybe like a little Easter egg or something. But one thing that was secretly removed in Season 2 were traps that almost no one remembers. We all know and love these spike traps, but when those were added, they actually replaced two other secret traps called the Ceiling Zapper and the Wall Dynamo. The Ceiling Zapper is, it's pretty self-explanatory, but the Wall Dynamo was the same thing but on walls. And eventually they combined these traps to make the Zapper Trapper in Season 9, but I love the design of these old versions a lot better. And as 2017 came to an end, we moved into Season 3 of Fortnite, where a ridiculous amount of content would come and go. And now it all started with 2018. This year had some amazing weapons and items that were unfortunately removed without Epic even saying a word. In Season 3 alone, Epic removed one of the most nostalgic weapons of the entire chapter, the guided missile launcher. The reason this was secretly removed was because Epic actually only disabled the weapon so that they could make some tweaks to it, and a lot of people were complaining that it was too OP, so Epic were like, okay, we'll change it up, don't worry. Except they actually just removed the gun and never brought it back again. What a shame, it was really fun, but at least I got to try it out for myself. And we can't say the same for something in Season 4, which was the Eye of the Storm Tracker. The fastest item to ever be vaulted in the history of Fortnite. It was literally in the game for 30 minutes and it never returned, and never will. Most people might not even know this existed in the first place. You wear like a backpack and it would tell you where the next storm circle was, except it was still in development and Epic never meant to add it into the game in the first place. Eventually, this was turned into the Storm Scout sniper rifle, but even that didn't last too long. And as 2018 continued, we got to Season 5, which vaulted one of the most controversial features Fortnite has ever had, the double pump, aka the king of shotgun metas. It was the most fun and overpowered tactic out there, but it was also the most divisive. Dying to it absolutely sucked, but popping off with two pumps gave you a feeling that we probably won't ever get back. And so in Season 5, Epic secretly vaulted double pump by sneakily adding in a shotgun delay. Maybe we'll get it back one day, but I really doubt it. I also doubt that we'll get back this next feature that was vaulted in Season 6. Near the end of 2018, we were introduced to a new battle pass for the 6th season, and as you will remember, it also introduced us to some very interesting physics, to say the least. And obviously, when people noticed these bouncing Bettys, it spread all over the news like wildfire. Epic Games tried to quietly remove it and pretend it never happened, but it's all we talked about for that week. And the nostalgia keeps going as we move on to 2019. This year came some of Fortnite's wackiest and most fun seasons, starting with Season 7. It was an awesome time for Fortnite, but little did we know that at Polar Peak, it would be the last time we ever saw Greasy Grove. Throughout the chapter, it went from having taco time in it to being frozen and ice to eventually being completely removed. And if you go to Logjam right now, you could still find half of the Durr Burger restaurant, but it's just not the same. And something Epic removed that was actually a good thing though was in Season 8 with Stretch Resolution. If you remember those times, Stretch Resolution was the talk of the town. Pro players were manipulating their files and settings to stretch their Fortnite resolution. And it basically just made your entire screen really wide, but actually this would give you a higher FPS, give you a better field of view, and theoretically, people were easier to hit. Look at this guy. And then again, it also made you look like you were cranking 90s on a Nintendo freaking GameCube. Either way, it was unfair to both console players and any other casual pro, so Epic just straight up removed it. They even went a step further, banning it from tournaments and considering it cheating. And something I'm surprised wasn't vaulted earlier was these shopping carts in Season 8. I mean, these were honestly some of the most fun vehicles ever when they came out, but in Season 8, there were so many other new vehicles like the driftboard, the planes, the baller. I mean, the carts kind of became useless. So because of that, Epic quietly vaulted them without telling anyone. And that's where things got really interesting as we head into Season 9. One of the only new traps we've ever gotten was the poison dart trap, and honestly, it was just kind of trash. No one used it. It was so exciting waiting for a brand new trap, but honestly, it was not that good, and people just dropped this thing so they didn't have to cycle past it when they were trying to put down a launch pad. So surprising no one, Epic secretly removed it in Season 9, which is fair enough. I mean, everyone was really obsessed with balloons at the time. The balloons were some of the funniest things Fortnite added in a while. I mean, it was goofy, fun, really changed up the meta, but you could never have a plain fun item in Fortnite. People always got to exploit it, and that's what they did. Players would just stay in the air for the entire game and pull off weird shenanigans. It was insane, and sadly, Epic just had enough of it, so they just vaulted those too. I still miss them. Please come back, balloons. You make Chapter 2 10 times more fun. But speaking of Chapter 2, let's get into 2020. Chapter 2 brought so many changes and completely overhauled the loot pool, vehicles, the map. I mean, everything changed. And because we were so blindsided by how much it changed, Epic quietly removed a ton of things that no one noticed. An example of one of these is the OG Burst. They changed the fire rate of this gun and introduced a completely new version of it, and since then we haven't seen the OG gun once, not even in an unvaulted LTM. And something people really never noticed was gone was in Chapter 2 Season 2, and it was a super unknown secret on the island over at Weeping Woods, where you could find a literal talking mushroom. If you fed him wood and then danced, he would follow you around and actually heal you up. But while Bud the Mushroom was awesome, he was really something that barely anyone got to try. As quietly as he was added, he was vaulted just a day later when Season 3 began, and we haven't seen him since. And he's not the only mushroom to be wiped out in Season 3. There was another insanely rare item called the Mythic Mushroom. This thing had a 1 in 10,000 chance of spawning, aka 0.01%. It's one of the rarest items in the history of the game. And for some reason, Epic got rid of it not long after it was added. Oh well. Well, that was pretty random. Something else removed in Season 3 wasn't exactly out of nowhere. With certain events in the world happening, Epic decided to be sensitive to the issues by removing every single police car from the game. We all thought this is a temporary thing, but to this day, you cannot find a police car anywhere, not even in creative. And as we got to the end of 2020, we got a Marvel season filled with a ton of new items and abilities. One of these was the Groot's Baller, and everyone was absolutely thrilled when it came out. But there was something so insanely wrong with it. You could just teleport halfway across the map with a huge bug. So Epic said they disabled the baller while they worked on a fix, and surprise, surprise, it just never came back. Luckily, we had a lot ahead of us as we move to the present day. Let's jump into 2021. We're present day now, and while it doesn't feel like we've been in this year for so long, we've actually had almost 3 seasons of Fortnite since the year started. How insane is that? It all started with Season 5, where we were given one of the coolest fish Epic has ever added, the Midas Flopper. It turned your entire inventory to gold and was just insane, but the chances of getting this thing were so low, it was actually so rare in fact that no one noticed when Epic secretly vaulted it, because we all just kind of thought that we were unlucky. In Season 5, also secretly removed a POI that a lot of us absolutely loved. Over on one of the mountains, there was an ego base with a few henchmen and a ton of loot. Everyone landed here, and when the Mandalorian's POI dropped, it was wiped out completely. And to this day, it hasn't come back, and I don't think it ever will. It's a shame, but hey, we moved on, and so did Fortnite as it launched into Season 6. And Season 6 was weird because it gave us an absolutely busted weapon. We haven't had many extremely OP weapons in Chapter 2 because Epic obviously learned their lessons from the mechs and the Infinity Blades, but with Season 6, we got pretty darn close to one. Of course, I'm talking about the Mythic Primal Shotgun, which was just absolutely overpowered. It sprayed insanely fast, did so much damage, and there was practically no counter to it. So after just one update of Season 6, Epic secretly removed this Mythic and replaced it with a Recycler, and that kinda sucked. And now we're in Season 7 and we're loving it, but even this season has already had things quietly removed that no one's talking about. One of the coolest things about Season 7 has been the mothership that abducts you. But when they added the alien nanites into the game last week, we were all focused on those that it completely went over our heads when Epic quietly vaulted the abductors. Now apparently they cycle and will return later in the season, but hey, we never knew it, so it was secretly removed. But for now, it's been Tommy, and you're watching Top 5 Gaming.